afternoon. I'm not sure it's fair to have to follow that. That was fantastic. Welcome, everyone, to our 140th Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce annual meeting. Thank you all for being here today, especially in person. I was joking with Rachel earlier, this event last year, I think we had 4 tables, socially distanced, everybody masked, so it's nice to see the ballroom full again. It has been an honor to chair the Chamber's board over the past year and to see the progress that comes when we work together as a team. We've continued to navigate the pandemic. Compared to a year ago, it's exciting to see how far we've come, and this room is evidence of that. We championed investments in public safety, transportation, and homelessness, and we've generated positive momentum to catapult our region towards a brighter future. Thank you to our members and staff for all of your hard work over the past year towards recovery and restoring a healthy community that provides access and opportunity for all. And to Rachel, thank you for your leadership. Employers and leaders in the business community continued to set the tone for the values and solutions that we want to see for our region. That meant taking on historical and persistent challenges that continue to hold us back from the equitable and inclusive economy that we want to see. At Bank of America, this has meant supporting initiatives to help increase access to capital for female entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of color, and promoting the future of Black-led businesses and nonprofits. We're doubling down on that work today with down payment at zero down payment and zero closing cost loans for Black and Hispanic first-time home buyers, which we're very excited about. Here at the Chamber, we revitalized the economic development arm of our organization with new staff, new programs, and Endeavor Northwest Community Business Connector to connect business owners of color with market opportunities and build relationships with businesses facing challenges due to linguistic, cultural, and geographic barriers, respectively. This is just one example of how the Chamber has been nimble and responsive to what businesses in this community need and what our region needs for a stronger, more inclusive economy. So I have no doubt that over the next year, the team will remain relentlessly focused on working with employers, communities, and elected officials to keep building pathways for equitable recovery and growth. That means developing talent, expanding access to capital, and ensuring a regulatory infrastructure that enables businesses to thrive. I am very grateful to have served with all of you, and because of the momentum that I see, I am more optimistic than ever about the future of our region, our business community, and of course, our chamber. As of this month, I'm turning over the proverbial gavel to our new chair, Pallavi Mehta Wahi, the co-US managing partner and Seattle managing partner of K&L Gates, and our new chamber board chair. Pallavi is a champion of the chamber. She's a trailblazer in her industry, and we know that she will inspire and engage you in the years to come. Pallavi, can you join me on stage? It is yours. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a gavel now. This is exciting. So, as Kerri said, last year, this time, there were 4 tables. There was a lot of masks, but there was still a lot of energy. And a lot of credit to that is to Kerri and to Rachel. You led us through turbulent, incredible times, which we could only have thought of in a science fiction book. Thank you for everything you've done. Your leadership through those times was strong and effective, and we're all the beneficiary of the same. So thank you to you, Kerri, and to you, Rachel. So as Kerri said, my name is Pallavi Mehta Wahi, and thank you to Kerri for always pronouncing my name right. I give her a lot of credit for that. I'm very proud to be standing here as the incoming board chair. I represent, in my role, I'm a member, my member is K&L Gates, which is a law firm spanning 47 offices. Our largest office is in Seattle, which has been here since 1883. We're the oldest law firm of the city, and we are very proud of that. During that time, we've been a member of the chamber. We've had many members on the boards, we've had board chairs, and we're very proud of the partnership with the chamber. 315 of us work and live in your downtown area, and we are very excited to work with the Chamber in working towards the resurgence of this city. We, like all of you, care a lot about the city. We care deeply about the business, the equity, inclusion, and its growth and its resurgence. As your incoming chair, it's a pleasure to be here today. It's a pleasure to see all these engaged, exciting faces. Honestly, it's just nice to see your faces. I don't know what you look like, right? And it's just fantastic to see how far we've all come in the past few years. And we've got challenges ahead, but we are ready to take them on together. As Kerri noted, the Chamber continues to be hard at work at many different areas. They're supporting and growing our membership. They're working diligently to a brighter future for businesses through the whole region. And most of all, we are always working to give you value, always working to find ways that we can have equity and social justice, the patina of this region, the patina of our business community. As we look towards the future in 2023, if you ask Rachel, she will give you a list of 200 programs, she went there, that we will be doing. But I know that we have 3 priorities. First, we want to be part of the solution. The Chamber does not want to be the body that sits there and points out the problems. We want to work with you. We want to work with many people in this room to come to the table with ideas for collaboration, to think about successful implementation. Kerri said it's the 140th Chamber meeting. That means we've been a civic pillar in this community for 140 years. That's a really long time. And we take that responsibility very seriously. We want to be in a place that our membership and our voice is effective and part of the solution for this community. Second, we are working to really tell our story. We want to tell your story. We want to tell the story of the great work the businesses and the community and the region is doing. This is a business community that really appreciates the complexity of the issues that we are facing. It understands the global imperatives. It understands the need for an equitable and inclusive region. This is a community that embraces those values, and we are proud of that. And the Chamber's role should be and is to make sure that voice is heard, not just individually, but also collectively, and heard with pride. We are proud of the community we are proud of our inclusiveness, and we are proud of who we are setting out to be. And third, we want to engage more of you. We want to get more of the business leaders engaged. Sometimes it's easier to keep our head down. I think part of the conversations today I'm hearing a lot about is everyone's traveling. Everyone can't just do Zoom meetings. We're all out in person. It means we are all having to engage at a level we're honestly not even used to anymore. And that's exhausting. And what we are going to ask of you as a Chamber is to do more. We're going to want more. We want you to engage with us, and we hope we can give you value for that engagement. We want sustained engagement from our community leadership. We want you at the table. We want to make sure your voice is heard, because that voice is really important, not just for the Chamber community, but for all the people in this room, for this region, to have a voice in the future. We want you to take advantage of what the Chamber has to offer, and we want us to be there to be that voice and to really value your time and give you events and opportunities that are to your benefit. To that end, I hope all of you can join us through the year as we convene a number of events. We have one coming up, which is at the Semi-Hamu Resort on October 19th. We are hosting elected officials and business leaders at the conference about affordability, homelessness, public safety, and transportation. We had a similar regional conference at Sankedia Resort last year, and I went and I was amazed at the tenor of conversation and the tenor of accord and collaboration that existed. I can only imagine how this will take it to the next step forward. This region is a very special place. I immigrated here 25 years ago from a different country and a different environment. And it embraced me, it helped me grow as a person, as a family, and as a business leader. It embraces all our communities. We are proud of where we live, and this Chamber is very proud of the work we do with all of you. We love this region. We are so happy you're here. We are so happy we can play a role in its resurgence. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for spending your time with us, and here's to a fantastic 2023. And to make that happen, I'm going to call Rachel up to the stage, and I'll leave the gavel here, Rachel.
Well, It is wonderful to see everybody. Thank you for that introduction, Pallavi. And Kerri, thank you so much for your leadership over the past year as we've navigated many transitions, both as an organization and as a city and a region. Your leadership has been steady and thoughtful and clear-eyed, so thank you. Thank you also to the Jewel Tones for starting off our program with that beautiful song. That was wonderful. And thanks to all of you for being here today. It is my honor to welcome you to our 140th annual meeting. I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors who have made today's event possible, including Kaiser Permanente, our presenting sponsor. Thank you, too, to our Board of Trustees. We appreciate the time and the energy you've committed to this chamber and your partnership in leading the organization. Thank you to the elected officials in the room. Will you all join me in a round of applause for them? So we are thrilled to be back at the Westin, back to the big regional convenings that are a hallmark of this chamber. And a big thank you to the Westin leadership and to the staff serving us here today as we celebrate what the chamber has accomplished over the past year and look ahead to what's next. Over the past 12 months, we've done a lot of work that I am incredibly proud of. First, I'm proud to report that even in challenging times, our membership has stayed steady and strong at 2,500 members, and we've seen increased investment because we brought more focus and intentionality to our advocacy, economic development, membership, and organizational health. Also, our association health plan, Business Health Trust, is growing and continues to provide high-quality, affordable healthcare options to more than 20,000 people around the state. Thank you. As is obvious, we have brought back in-person events and now have a wider range of program formats for our members throughout the region. We're continuing to adapt so that you and your colleagues have a variety of ways that you can learn from speakers and connect with each other, both in person, my preferred way, and remotely. Last fall, we partnered with Public Health, Seattle, and King County to educate 10,000 businesses about a vaccination verification requirement for customers, an effort that resulted in 92% compliance from businesses. We won a National Communications Award for this partnership, and it was just such a highlight for the entire chamber team. I have to thank Executive Constantine for his leadership, as well as thank Markham McIntyre, now our partner at the Office of Economic Development. Yes, please. And I know everybody in this room knows, but Markham was formerly Executive Vice President here at the Chamber, and he started us off on this successful path before he left, so thank you, Markham. We established 2 new economic development programs focused on supporting businesses run by people of color and taking a more regional approach to our work. I'm especially excited about Community Business Connector, a pilot project and a true public-private partnership with the Port of Seattle. This program will increase business navigator services available to the small businesses that have faced barriers to prosperity, including accessing in-language support. We're ready to be another piece of the puzzle in helping connect to resources alongside partners like the U.S. Small Business Administration, Region 10, the Washington State Department of Commerce, Greater Seattle Partners, and Tabor 100. We also launched a new public polling project 1 year ago, The Index, to fill a major gap in our civic dialogue, and we've gotten positive reviews from members like you. I also want to give a shout out to our research firm, EMC Research, where the team is not just hired pollsters, they truly are our thought partners and accountability function as we generate really solid quality of life data. And beyond just interesting data to have, It gives us the foundation to demand that we move beyond the with me, against me, and litmus test politics that have been driving too many of the policy decisions for too long. In fact, using this data to connect our priorities to the broad majorities of voters helps bring my favorite saying, sanity and guardrails, to the policy conversation. It helps us identify paths to progress, and it enables us to be a more effective advocate for all of you, our members. And that advocacy work has been getting results. We worked in coalition with many, but especially Challenge Seattle, to secure an unprecedented $850 million in Olympia for homelessness and housing, which is already helping people move inside and to close encampments, as well as $16.8 billion in a transportation funding package, including funding for high-speed rail. I named only a handful of our wins, but I would just like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who is engaged in this work, members, public agencies, and of course, to the dedicated and talented staff at the Chamber. It is an honor to lead this team. With that foundation, you can see why I'm excited to kick off our new program year with the theme, Building a Brighter Future. But before I move on to brighter futures, let me get real for a minute about the challenges. I'm an optimist and a pragmatist, and I know that today's economic outlook and very real uncertainties are swirling as you're making decisions for your business. Inflation is at a 40-year high. The tech sector that has achieved so much is, let's say, tapping the brakes. Talent acquisition has gone from hard to downright impossible. How and where we work is still evolving. And the economic engine for our region, downtown Seattle, looks and feels different. It's our job at the Chamber to elevate your issues. And when I'm out advocating on your behalf, here is what I'm telling elected officials and leaders. We must keep attracting and growing the kind of jobs that create prosperity for individuals and drive the economy across the region. We also need to have the kind of jobs that generate the tax base that government relies on. Businesses generate over 60% of the general fund tax base in the city of Seattle, for example, a point our leaders would do well to center in their policy decisions. We, and again, especially my government colleagues, we need to make choices that encourage businesses to both come here and to stay here, supporting our workforce, the region, and the neighborhoods that we live in. And we need to be thoughtful and intentional and work together in earnest. In fact, the most important time for business, government, and community to work in partnership is in the face of uncertainty. That's when we should anchor in our values, show our cards, bring our ideas, be ready to listen and compromise, and show up as our most collaborative selves. To that point, there are those who would have you believe that our region's prosperous companies will always be prosperous no matter what, or that our region would be better without certain sectors or companies, or that there are just so many jobs already here that the region's economy is going to be fine and it just doesn't really matter that much. They're wrong. If you haven't had the experience of navigating challenging economic times, and I mean really challenging, not just tightening up a budget, but laying off employees, cutting entire divisions, closing offices, trust me, you don't want to. Many of our members in this room have endured that. And we know that only by being intentional with our decisions today can we set ourselves up to avoid or to take advantage of challenges in the future, as well as set ourselves up for a growing, inclusive economy. As I said, it is our job to elevate your issues, to take issues to leaders, and to make them feel compelled to address them. So, Here are the good policies and collaborations and intentions that I think we need to really improve our quality of life for businesses and for our employees in the region. The very top issue that comes to mind, and the one I hear all the time from members, is affordability. It's actually pretty plain. We need to focus on more housing options across the region for more people and our employees across the income spectrum to buy and rent across life stages. That means, yes, government financial investment, but also our housing policies, which are not set up to bring the market to the party to deliver more and all kinds of housing. And there's no fast silver bullet way to solve housing affordability. Funding alone isn't going to cut it without the policy changes that promote building. It's like 20 changes to permitting and zoning and building codes. And 10 of them, City Council could change tomorrow. And you're going to be hearing a lot more about that from us, about making those policy changes in cities and in Olympia. The second big one, the business community must stay engaged on transportation, whether we're talking about ST3 and finally connecting light rail across King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties, or transforming and investing in I-5, or looking to the future with high-speed rail. In my 20 years in this region, every major step forward on transportation has deeply relied on the leadership of our business community. We need to work on homelessness. Homelessness has been a top issue for Seattle voters, and it remains a crisis. And we have started to see some progress. There has been success and national recognition for the work of the county, the city, the state, and a close partner of ours, the Regional Homelessness Authority, including the business community-driven Partnership for Zero, a program to connect people to shelter and services in downtown Seattle, managed out of a unified command center, a best practice. And thank you to our members who led the way on that work. Also using data and improving our understanding of how many people are living unhoused, as well as the barriers they're facing so that we could help them. And of course, the closure of major encampments. So what's it going to take to continue to make progress on homelessness? Leadership, already being demonstrated from people like Executive Constantine, Mayor Harrell, and Regional Homelessness Authority CEO Mark Dones, as well as Mayors Backus of Auburn and Burney of Redmond and Renton City Council member Ed Prince. 2, communication with each other and with the public on the reasons behind our actions, our successes, our trials, and our failures. And again, we have to work together. There are no sides. Trust me when I say, in the eyes of the public, we will all rise or fall together. The other critical issue for our community is public safety, which hasn't felt right for a while, and I think it's fair to say, especially in Seattle. Seattle Police Department remains short-staffed, and there is work to do to build community trust in police, especially among communities of color. What we want is simple. It is an all-of-the-above approach, one that includes the right amount of funding and the right number of police officers, alongside culture reforms, and a diversified response to emergencies. We want a good, supportive relationship between community and those who are responsible for our public safety. And we have to come together on addressing gun violence. Seattle and our South King County cities in particular have a serious problem. But I'm feeling some positive momentum. When you're downtown as much as I am, and compared to a year ago, certainly, it feels better. Mayor Harrell's recently proposed legislation to recruit and retain officers was passed by the Seattle City Council. Chief Adrian Diaz was just formally appointed. I participated in that search committee, and I'm just so glad that the mayor chose him. And to meet the urgency of the moment, we are working in partnership with the city and the Downtown Seattle Association to increase officers and mid-ambassadors and outreach workers and case managers. I want to thank the mayor for his work, commitment, and leadership. And while John Scholes couldn't be here today, I want you all to know how deep our partnership is with him and his whole DSA team. Our leaders must continue to act and act with urgency to improve response times and ensure people feel and are safe. We need more, faster. Okay, lastly, I love being your champion. I love being the #1 civic booster in this region. Let me be clear, and for those of you who know me, you know this is true. Let me be clear, despite challenges, Seattle is not dying. We are a growing, thriving community, one that is developing into a world-class region anchored by a dynamic Seattle. This is our brighter future. And first off, we have some really exciting events coming our way, including next year's Major League Baseball All-Star Game and the World Cup in 2026. We're also going to, We're also going to see an inspirational part of our own history in George Clooney's Boys in the Boat movie coming out next year. We'll add 3 light rail segments to Bellevue and Redmond and Federal Way and Linwood. We will expand the Seattle Aquarium. We will complete the waterfront park and pier projects, and we will open the new Seattle Convention Center. Here at the Chamber, we intend to leverage each one of these events to build up our civic pride and love of this place. And we're going to do that with the Sports Commission and United Way, and we're going to be asking for help from all of you. Let's get our region clean, shiny, and ready for the attention. Also, speaking of sports, can I just say go Mariners, please? And the Seahawks and the Storm and Sue Bird and the Kraken and the Reign and the Sounders and the Cougs and the Huskies and all of our great teams. But truly, for the M's, the first time in 20 years, the Mariners are in the hunt for the playoff spot, and I'm just bursting with pride for this team and for all of our teams. Also, later tonight, I'm going to be speaking at a delegation of Denver Chamber members, and I picked up a Seahawks jersey for their CEO. I think he'll like it. In the coming months, the economy may be taking your business for a bumpy ride, and your chamber will be here with information and programming to support you and really make sure that you have help in leveraging economic uncertainty into economic resilience. We're also going to keep up our quality of life advocacy, turning our attention to government budgets this month. Your chamber will continue to advocate on your behalf and to convene partners around tables to make decisions to help things be better for everyone here. And we hope that you will join us at those tables. We're going to keep up the momentum we built in the 2021-22 program year to build towards a brighter future for this region. There is no doubt in my mind that in a region with so much promise and potential, that the work will be well worth it. Thank you again for being here today.
We now welcome to the stage the Seattle Metro Chamber Board First Vice Chair, Mary Kipp of Puget Sound Energy.
Thank you so much. And I just have to say, Rachel, every time I have the privilege of speaking to you or hear you speak, I just feel inspired that we can do anything. And I think a lot of us in this room feel that way. So thank you so much for all that you've done for us. So I'm very happy to be here today to share with you a special piece of our program, which is our Partnership Spotlights. And you just heard Rachel talk about how important it is that we all be thoughtful and intentional and work together in earnest, right? It's really critical to our success. So our Partnership Spotlight showcases some examples of collaboration among chamber members, and whether big or small. So some are larger, like PSC, and many of our chamber members, though, in fact, 80% are what we would consider small employers, which is fewer than 100 employees. So we've got to have good relationships across our business community, no matter what our size or what we do. So today, I'm really excited to be able to introduce a couple examples of some larger and smaller businesses partnering together. And the first spotlight features Piroshki and Alaska Airlines. So I welcome Olga Sagan and Harry Chima to the stage to share their story. Welcome.
Hello? Yes.
Can you hear me now? Awesome. We'll pass the mic back and forth. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here today. My name is Harry with Alaska Airlines. Many of you are already probably familiar with Alaska Airlines through the in-flight experience as guests on board, and we thank you for flying with us. A lot of you may not realize that we have a very large and robust cargo operation. It's an important part of our business with deep ties to our roots in the state of Alaska, where many of the communities we serve are only accessible via air. These communities depend on us significantly to move products such as seafood, household items, medical supplies, and medicine. We provide a huge service to that region, and during the pandemic, the cargo operation became even more important to Alaska Airlines. We saw an opportunity there to really partner with small organizations, local businesses that are pillars of the community, and provide a helping hand. So with that, we had a partnership with my colleague here, Olga from Piroshki. So Olga, please tell me, how did this partnership come about, and how did you look to pivot your business when you faced challenges in the pandemic?
Does it work? Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. Rachel, thank you for having me here. It's actually a really sad story. It was 2020, pandemic was just hitting all of us, and our sales at the bakery went down 90%. And I have never experienced anything like that, seeing, preparing for summer, really hiring, and then nothing. So our number one goal was to keep all our employees. It's really hard to find amazing people that we have in our company. So we decided to pivot into pop-ups. So in May of 2020, we started delivering things around the state, and very successfully, we went to Bellingham, to Vancouver, and so on. So in November of 2020, actually, I was part of that pop-up. I'm on the Snoqualmie Pass, putting chains on a truck, swearing with everything I got. And when you have this down moment, when you feel like, what is it? I've been doing it for 28 years. What is it? Then you have a good moment. So we were heading for a pop-up in Spokane, Washington. Put the chains on, got through the pass, take the chains off. We had 300 boxes of piroshkis in a truck. And I'm like, hang on, we just spent 6 hours on the road. Why don't we fly those things all over the country? So by the time we got to Spokane, I already had a plan in my head. I was texting Diana, who was part of the chamber then, and I said, put me in touch with your cargo team. So in January, mid-January, we had our inaugural air cargo to Denver, Colorado, and that's how we pivoted and started partnering with Alaska Airlines. Can you remind me how many have we done so far?
So I think we've done about 130-something shipments and about 150,000 pounds of cargo, not tons. So this is just one example of a partnership growing from the pandemic, and it's really an example of Alaska's commitment to care. It's our guiding principle, and it allows us to support community members because Alaska cares about the community. We care about the people here. We care about the business, and that's really what makes this region special and what makes this region thrive. We couldn't be prouder to partner with Olga and Piroshki. So as a closing question, tell us, how is Piroshki doing today? What's next? And then more importantly, how can the people in this room help support companies like Piroshki and other local organizations that make this region a great place to be?
Thank you. So today we are still a little bit behind on our retail. So we have one store open in Pike Place Market. Please come visit us. We are very strong on our pop-ups. We do about 24 pop-ups a month, including in-state and out-of-state. We go as far out as Washington, D.C., Alaska, of course, California, Texas, and so on. And it is really, you feel when we fly, because we ourselves fly everywhere and bring our cargo, pick up our cargo, we meet all those amazing people who come and pick it up. And they have connection to Seattle, and they so much miss Seattle, and they're so proud of Seattle. And some of them have some really good things to say, and I know that a lot of them are looking forward for Seattle to really to have a bright future. So it's really nice to do. And as far as help, talk to your small business owners. You know, big businesses, they have value pricing. They have so much more pool that smaller businesses don't. And we have to deal with a lot of government restrictions, a lot of red tape, and a lot of other things. So I know it's harder to work with small businesses, but maybe someday that small business will be the next big business that will be supporting another small business. So that's my word.
So I encourage everyone here to take Olga's lead, reach out to your small businesses, figure out how you can support them. At Alaska, we'll continue to do our part as we've been doing for 90 years now. And I think the people in this room, the partnerships that come out of this region, that's what's going to keep this community thriving into the future. So I encourage you to support the organizations that are here. And with that, we'll turn it over to the next part of the program. Thank you so much, everyone.
I think I'm supposed to be back up here, but if I'm not, someone will tell me. That was really terrific, and I'm pleased now to close out today's program by introducing our second partnership spotlight segment. We're going to feature another large chamber member, QFC, and they were able to help expand the reach of one of our smaller businesses, Tutta. So we're going to start with a video highlighting this delicious partnership, and then hear from Joe Fugere, who is the founder and CEO of Tutta, and Dave Richard, president of QFC.
That if it was right before lunch, it would get you to salivate. If you're still salivating after seeing the 30-second spot, then we've certainly done our job. But in all honesty, that 30-second spot kind of demonstrates our commitment. When I got into this relationship with QFC, it was about bringing restaurant-quality food to the grocery store. I wanted that personally, because I didn't really think you could find much of it. It's also a commitment that's very hard to achieve, I'm learning. A commitment of artisan food at scale. And that's really what the secret sauce is to the relationship that we have with QFC. This all started, and I'm not going to drag you through the entire story, but it started when QFC approached us and asked us to open what I call mini Bellas. We have two Tutta restaurants inside two prominent QFC stores, University Village and their new Kirkland Urban store. And in that process of setting up the mini Bella, it was suggested by QFC's leadership team that we might want to put a 6-foot deli case as an experiment in with our hot pizzas and sandwiches. It turns out that in that 6 feet of deli case, we are selling a tremendous amount of sides, salads, pastas, all grab-and-go items, tiramisu. It didn't take long for us to realize that we had something going that was really successful. And as soon as so this was about less than a year before the pandemic, we had rolled that out, just the deli case portion, into 5 QFCs. And Dave's predecessor, Chris Albee, who was at QFC at the time, the day the pandemic hit and the governor kind of shut down restaurants, I got a call at home from Chris, and she said, what can we do to help? And she had a couple ideas. One was letting our food truck go around to all the different QFCs and serve them. But the one that really stuck was this test that we had in 5 QFCs. She wanted to roll it out to 35 or more stores, and she wanted to do it as soon as we could. And of course, I'm the ultimate optimist. Of course we can do that. I hung up the phone. I said, holy crap, how am I going to roll this out to 35 stores? We don't have a production facility. We converted our Bellevue restaurant into a production facility. We are now building a 15,000 square foot production facility in Soto, and I am in a different business that I never thought I would be in. And to the QFC leadership team, and I was a little worried when Chris, who was our proponent and supporter, left for another opportunity within the Kroger chain. We were biting our nails a little bit at the Tutta offices, wondering what her successor would do. And then Dave showed up, and I'm going to use his words. He said, your program is on fire, and I want to add gasoline to the fire. So this is what his commitment has been, and I can't thank that team enough. If any of you have worked with QFC, from the PR department to anything, we've gotten advice from them on merchandising, pricing, logistics, supply chain. I cannot thank you enough for the support. It really is it's a partnership, it's a marriage, it's a friendship. I mean, it's all of the above. And Dave, I want to hand it over to you and just with sincere thanks and gratitude for what you've done for our business. If numbers were to tell the story, before the pandemic, we employed 200 people at Tutta Bella. Today, we're approaching 400. Our sales on the restaurant side were just recently surpassed on the grocery division. Next year, they will double, and the year after that, they will double again. We will be a $50 million company within probably the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, thank you, Joe. And you know, at QFC Quality Food Centers, the main thing we want to emphasize is quality, and it's a standard. It's a higher standard. And the first thing I recognized, because I came from Fred Meyer, we picked up Tutta Bella, and you could see the quality in the product. And I love his Napoli salads, like my #1 favorite. And when I came to QFC, it was like, how do we leverage this? And first off, it's like you have restaurant-inspired quality product, and he had a great distribution channel. The first thing I looked at was our merchandising, where we had an opportunity to really amplify the freshness and the quality of his product. So we got that out front and really stepped up. I kind of wiped them out of production when we did that. And literally, they couldn't produce enough. It was a bad problem to have, and it's been a lot of fun partnering with Tutta Bella to leverage a real hyper-local product and really bring that chef-inspired, high-quality, restaurant-inspired quality product right to the forefront of our customers and really establish that freshness that we look to establish every day. The last thing I would just say is I did a little deep dive on some numbers right before I came because I love numbers. Let's see, in period 8, so that's just a 4-week little standard run, Joe was up 57% in sales, and he was up 41% in units just for that 4-week period, and we're going to continue to leverage that. By the way, he's up to 43 QFCs across all the way from Stanwood all the way down to Parkland, and still looking to expand even more. So great job, Joe. Thanks.
And now we welcome to the stage Andrea Arnold from our presenting sponsor, Kaiser Permanente.
Good afternoon. Let me try that again. Good afternoon. I guess the mic didn't like that. It is absolutely amazing to be here with you all in person. It's my pleasure to come spend time seeing face-to-face. I actually just left a conference of brokers and consultants trying to solve problems for a lot of the employers that we work with. And one of the things that was overwhelming sentiment, we are so grateful that we're here in person, we get to see each other. Also, fun fact, yesterday was National Gratitude Day. So I want to extend that just a little bit by a few hours and extend my gratitude for being here with a number of impressive leaders of the businesses in the Seattle market. You are longstanding customers, longstanding collaborators with Kaiser Permanente, and all of you are working to ensure that Seattle remains a vibrant, diverse, and inclusive city. At Kaiser Permanente, we believe that total health goes beyond the doctor's office. It goes deep into the communities where people live, work, learn, and play. And as our region continues to recover from the economic toll and the enduring health impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have accelerated our efforts to broaden the services and the care that we bring to our members. Our intention is to influence the multitude of factors that have really impacted the health of our communities, and we know that actually means you, our small businesses. One of the examples that we endeavored to do so this year was a partnership with the Seattle Chinatown International District Preservation and Development Authority. Say that 5 times fast. We worked with them to provide some grants that would support almost 200 businesses in this region who were impacted by the economic impacts of COVID-19, focused on Asian-owned businesses. We also helped to sponsor coaching and support for AAPI neighborhoods who were impacted by anti-racism as a result of the pandemic. These types of things are economic opportunity and security that help the families and the people that live in our communities thrive. And we believe it's a huge contributor to total health. When you don't have this opportunity in your communities, it leads to diminished prospects for increased socioeconomic status. That leads to poorer health and higher mortality rates, all of which we want to avoid. When you have stronger economic opportunity, it helps individuals find jobs, create stable, secure income, a sense of purpose, and most importantly, meaningful connections. So like I said before, it's great to see everybody in person. Human beings are wired to connect, and we want to help make that happen. As a large nonprofit healthcare organization whose focus over the last 80 years has been committed, our mission has been committed to providing high quality, affordable healthcare to our members and the communities that we serve. We recognize that the way we do business can support economic opportunity in local communities. I mean, we're committed to that. It's part of our mission. So we continue to do that today and in the future. With that in mind, I want to, excuse me, I skipped something. I wanted to also say that our commitment goes beyond just the healthcare that we provide, but also the way we hire, the way we build and maintain our facilities, the way we partner with communities. And so we continue to do those things on a day in and day out basis. Today we're going to hear from 2 business leaders that are trailblazing in this community, passionate advocates for health and a vibrant Puget sound. So joining us on stage is Mike Sievert, the CEO of T-Mobile. He leads a team of disruptors and innovators working over the last 10 years to change the rules of wireless. I love that. I think it's very cool. This resulted in T-Mobile becoming the fastest growing company in the industry with nearly 7,500 employees in the Puget Sound region. Under his leadership, T-Mobile has stayed true to its commitment to not just be a bigger company, but a better company. And they're using their combined resources, their scale, and their network for good. One of the projects that they have launched is Project 10 Million, which is providing internet access for children, helping to close the education gap by providing them with free internet, free mobile hotspots, and even devices at cost. And that helps to support the students in the classroom, ensuring that they can close the digital gap. I'm also excited to welcome Pallavi Mehta, Wahi, your newest chamber chair. She's a passionate advocate for the Seattle business community, the people and communities that help it thrive. Pallavi, as she already mentioned, is the co-chair of United States and Seattle managing partner of K&L Gates, which is an integrated global law firm with 45 offices in major cities in the US, in world capitals and financial centers. As an experienced litigator, Pallavi practices complex litigation with an emphasis on corporate and intellectual property. In addition to her practice, she is now your official board chair and an avid writer, speaker, and community champion. It is with great gratitude, a shared commitment for a thriving community, and my honor to welcome Mike Sievert and Pallavi.
Hey everybody, thanks for having us. I want to thank the Jewel Tones for setting the tone and also for their magenta-inspired costumes. Call me, let's work together.
Wear magenta. So thanks for being here, Mike, and thanks for everyone for being here with us. So I'm going to start us off and just kind of set the tone a little bit in just understanding you a little. So maybe just understanding your process as being a leader. You stepped into the leadership role at T-Mobile right at the turn of the pandemic. And you were right on the helm just as the pandemic was taking off. And how did that feel for you? How was that for you as a leader? And how did it set the stage for you during that time?
Thanks. Thanks for having me here. And it's funny to look back on. So we merged the company and created this version of T-Mobile on April 1st of 2020. And that happened to be 3 weeks after we sent everybody home in the height of the pandemic, and it happened to be the day that I stepped into the CEO role. And it was obviously a fascinating time. Thank goodness this pandemic had a feature to it, an insidious little feature of always giving us false hope. Do you remember that? You remember we were going to just bend the curve for a minute, and we'll be home for a few weeks and then we'll be back at it by summer. And so thank goodness that was the case, because we were putting together a company with tens of thousands of employees trying to create a unified culture. And for me, it was a really interesting challenge as a leader, because when we had a long succession process at T-Mobile, so I had a chance to picture myself in the CEO role for many years as the number 2 officer there. And by the way, I knew I would be filling the shoes of a pretty visible and iconic leader in John Ledger. And so I pictured that I would step into the role probably around the time of the merger if we pulled it off, and I'd get on a plane and go see our people. At T-Mobile, our culture and our values are all centered around love for the customer and support for the people that care for our customers. And we really try to live by this idea, not on a plaque on the wall, but in our everyday reality, that we exist here to serve our customers and to serve those that serve our customers. And that kind of takes that's hard. That takes some energy, and it takes a culture that's really unique. And ours is a bit of a pep rally culture, and we get in front of our people and we fire them up and we let them know what we stand for. And I had that stripped away from me at the very moment they handed me the gavel. And that was a surprise. And so I didn't have to change my leadership approach in that moment, but I sure had to change, as all of us had to learn some new skills, my communication approach. And for me, it was about moving from live audiences to video, and that's something I wasn't good at. And I knew I wasn't good at it. You think about looking out at an audience, and you can kind of tell by their eyeballs whether you're prattling on too long, whether it's going okay, whether you're getting encouragement, they like what's happening, and you kind of shift gears. And I get a lot of confidence from and energy from an audience, and always have. And so, they handed me the CEO job and stuck a camera in my face like this close. And they're like, talk to your people. 3, 2, 1, you're live.
I'm not good at that.
Tens of thousands of people, and it was like right there. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I think all of us sort of had our versions of that. How you have a culture working on WebEx and Zoom instead of in person. And for me, it was some new skills I had to work on. It's been 2.5 years since then. The company is just in unbelievable shape. It's just been such a journey about the people, particularly in this region, who have led us from a distant number 4 10 years ago to arguably the world's largest and most successful telecommunications company. And that's just been a remarkable journey, and it's certainly a big part now of this region's business success story.
Wow, that was a great answer. I totally saw the energy. So, you talked a little bit about 2020, and that's interesting. In preparing for this, we were looking at the fact that when you signed your merger with Sprint in 2020, you signed an agreement with the leading civil rights organizations committing to increase diversity. And across the entire workforce, across the entire executive team, and diversifying business with banks, with your suppliers. And I'd love to hear what's happening. As you heard from the chamber, that's a big focus. And for many communities here, that's a big focus. What is working for T-Mobile in that work? What is your challenge? What are you seeing over the last 2 years under your helm of leadership? How has that gone?
I think this is one of those topics where if you're successful, it's important to be optimistic, I think, encouraging, but also always humble about the opportunities ahead. This is really going well for us. What you're referring to is our 5-year Equity in Action Plan, and we created it around the time that we created this version of the company in 2020, and we hired an external diversity council to help us, some of the nation's best thinkers in diversity issues. Mark Morial, the head of the Urban Link, the Reverend Al Sharpton, the head of the NAACP, and many other organizations representing many other forms of diversity to advise us and to challenge us and to help us develop best practices. And it's going amazingly well. And partly is because this is something that's always been important in our culture. T-Mobile is 60% of our employees are people of color. 50% of our people in management are people of color. Over a third of people in management are women. 25% of our executives are people of color. Over a third are women. So those numbers tell you two things. One is we have a lot to be proud of. And the other is, if you were listening, we have a lot of work to do. And but it's something that is very core to who we are. We made some goals all across the spectrum around supplier diversity. We're spending $3.5 billion with minority-owned businesses now, up significantly. That's just a wonderful thing. We made big goals as it relates to how our product can be a force for change with underconnected communities, which I hope we get a chance to talk about. And really, for me, the strategy around our employee journey is one that has to reflect that while we are a large Seattle company, one thing I need this room to understand is we have employees, most of our employees live and work in the reddest counties of the reddest states. And so we needed to strike a strategy that would be true to our values, but also a strategy that we would be able to be successful enrolling tens of thousands of people in from every corner of this country. And we did that by establishing a dual approach to how we develop talent. And it's centered in the idea that our development programs, all of the investments we make in development and mentorship should be overrepresented with women and minorities. And every single position we hire for should have a minority slate, should have some people on the candidate slate that represent increases in diversity. And every interviewer pool should have interviewers who represent diversity. And every single time, we should hire the very best person for the job without affirmative action or without any input as to their race or gender. And so that's very interesting. Every single time we hire only the best person, according to the hiring manager and the pool of people interviewing. But the fact that we have overrepresentation in our development programs, the fact that we insist on diverse pools of candidates, the fact that we insist on diverse interviewing, allows us to do that last thing with pride. And this is a great service to the people walking around in these positions who get to do their jobs knowing that no one questions how they got that job. No one questions whether they got it because of their identity, only because of their efficacy and performance and skills and experience, but skills and experience that we know we have to correct for and create opportunities around. And so it's this dual strategy that has turned out to develop some great numbers. Representation in our senior ranks has rapidly grown over the past few years. Our board of directors, our senior leadership team, our management, and our culture is one where we've got tens of thousands of people bought into what we're doing and really believing in it. The vast majority of our employees participate in employee resource groups where we demonstrate our allyship and make investments in every aspect of diversity in our company. And that's not new for us, but the level of focus we have since creating this new size and scale of the company 2.5 years ago, with the outside support you mentioned in your question, that's new. We're really proud of how it's going, but we got a lot of work still to do.
That is a very powerful answer, and I can say as a person of color sitting beside you, that touches my heart. That is an incredible answer on so many levels, and thank you for what you're doing on the leadership on that issue. I'll ask you a question related to what you just said. You said a force of change for underconnected communities. Tell us more about that. What is that? How are you going about doing it? And what do you see the vision for that to be?
Well, thank you. Project 10 Million was mentioned earlier. So this is something I'm really proud of. I wanted an idea that could demonstrate the audacity of new T-Mobile post-merger, that we were setting out to create the best company in the world at connecting customers to their world, that we were going to create the highest capacity, best network around 5G in the world. And I wanted something that could demonstrate the kind of aspirations that this new, larger, more effective company could take on. And we decided to make it around our knitting connectivity. And so we established Project 10 Million. It was inspired by Sprint's 1 Million project. And the idea wasn't just to chip away at the problem of the homework gap, that part of the digital divide that's about school kids. But we decided to create an initiative that would have the audacious goal of ending it, ending the homework gap in this country and connecting every single child. And the numbers say that about 10 million kids in this country don't have access to broadband during their school time, and that we could do it. And so we started it out, and it was, you know, we announced it in 19, we launched it in 20. So far, we're $3.65 billion of investment into this program. We've connected 4.3 million kids. And what we want is a country where education can live up to its promise of being the great equalizer. Education is the thing that opens doors of opportunities for people of all walks of life, including people whose parents have difficult economic circumstances. And yet education can't be that equalizer if you don't have equal access to the digital part of education. The vast majority of teachers assign homework that requires internet access. Forget the last 2 years where internet access was required for school itself. And so if you can't have access, you're down at McDonald's or Taco Bell looking for a Wi-Fi signal, or worse, not bothering to, and your parents can't help you because they're working so hard on 2 jobs just to put food on the table, or they're not aware of the magnitude of the issue. This is the size of the problem that we want to try and help solve. And so like I said, so it's been 2.5 years, it's going amazingly well, but I wanted something that could demonstrate what the nation's largest and highest capacity network could really do as a force for good.
That's fantastic. Again, a lot of audacious thinking, a lot of thinking outside the box, just exactly what T-Mobile is. You know, similar to that is what you announced last month, you know, your partnership with Elon Musk and with the coverage beyond, above and beyond. So we'd love to hear more about that. What is above and beyond? Yeah, you know, what is the coverage going to be? And, you know, just truly going to the stars with the partnership and really kind of taking it to that next level. Love to hear more about that.
Well, I just always wanted to work for a company with spaceships in the lobby, and I thought if we did this partnership, maybe we could get a leftover.
You like Star Trek,
or
don't you? You're
like
a Trekkie, aren't
you? Listen, what you're talking about is our latest uncarrier move. And you guys heard this phrase, the uncarrier? It's kind of like our mantra in the company. It's how we set out to be the best in the world at connecting customers to their world. And we call ourselves the uncarrier for almost a decade now, because the carriers are kind of famous for creating a set of rules in an industry that aren't famous for being pro-customer. And we wanted to be the opposite of that. And what we do is seek out the biggest pain points that drive people crazy in the industry and then smash them. And we go on stage and we do it with great fanfare, and then we put a bunch of marketing behind it, but usually there's a lot of science and technology and product that is required to bring it together. This is the latest one. And it's maybe one of the biggest pain points we've ever set out to try and tackle. Dead zones. You know, this is a country where this is a vast country, and there are 500,000 square miles where cellular signals from any company don't reach. 500,000 square miles. And so our thought was, could we work together with the world's most advanced space organization to smash that pain point? And look, this one's kind of big enough. We had to announce it ahead of time, and we're hard at work, sleeves rolled up, working on it. We don't know exactly how fast it'll come together, but our dream is that your existing smartphone, the one you already have with no new technology required, will be able to connect to Starlink satellites orbiting the Earth, and you'll be able to have real-time messaging, emergency messaging, picture messaging, real-time communication, not only via text, but popular messaging apps. And if everything goes to plan, we should be in full beta by the end of next year. So that's coverage above and beyond.
That's amazing.
And by the way, it was built, if you just let me do a commercial, it was actually built on Coverage Beyond, our big move that we did in June, where we decided that we would make T-Mobile a company that could smash pain points around travel generally. And we announced agreement with all the biggest airlines in the country, including Alaska Air, that we would provide T-Mobile customers with all of your in-flight Wi-Fi connectivity nationwide for free for every T-Mobile customer for the full flight. Really exciting. And that we would be the first company in the world to offer global 4G and 5G roaming. 210 countries with nothing to sign up for, no annoying text or special plans. You just, if you're on our most popular plan, you just get off the plane and it just works and you get 4G or 5G worldwide. And that's the kind of stuff, we just love smashing those kinds of pain points.
That's fantastic. And you keep saying 5G, so the 5G revolution. So I feel like we should hear more about that from you. T-Mobile is leading that 5G revolution.
Yeah, it'd be a great place to finish. I mean, we're a couple years into this 5G era, and a lot of people are wondering, okay, so what's it really all about? I mean, my cell phone works a little faster, that seems good, but what's it about? And I'll just take you back a decade to when 4G started. And remember, I was in the industry at Clearwire when 4G was starting. That's a Seattle company that's now part of T-Mobile. And we really thought 4G would be about picture phones sending pictures faster, because we didn't know any different. Smartphones weren't a thing. All the apps and experiences that we take for granted today weren't a thing. Why did they become a thing? Because of 4G technology. So Uber and Lyft and Instagram and Tinder and all kinds of apps that people use today that require high fidelity 4G connectivity were invented because of the innovation of 4G. And we're seeing that cycle happening right now around 5G. And it's so exciting. A term that many of you have heard because the city's so technology oriented is the Metaverse and the massive investment going into Metaverse. Well, Metaverse on the go wouldn't be possible without 5G. Metaverse requires extremely high capacity, high speed, low latency, fast responding networks like 5G networks. And so there's imagination and massive investment going into Metaverse technology from large companies and small all across the world because of 5G. Similarly, if you think about what we've been through over the past 2 years in all of our Zooms, what we learned was, thank goodness this pandemic happened when Zoom was invented and all of its peers, but it was great, but it wasn't good enough. There was a lot of talk today about how great it is to be back in the room together. And of course, we'll never replace that human touch, but telepresence can be an order of magnitude more powerful, more personal. Eye contact, interrupting each other, feeling like we're in the moment and in the room, and that kind of massive connectivity requires 5G. One of the biggest topics being invested in technology today is AI, artificial intelligence, and AI on the go requires processing in the cloud of massive amounts of information that are surrounding your person, augmented reality, being able to take in pictures, video, and give you really important information about your life. Those kinds of innovations that are being developed right now are being developed with an eye towards people having on their body connectivity in the hundreds of megabits per second like T-Mobile's network does today. Our nationwide average is nearly 400 megabits per second. And so that kind of connectivity that powers AI in the cloud and massive transference of data in real time back and forth to your person, whether it's a smartphone or a new kind of device, is driven by the 5G cycle. So stay tuned. There's incredible investment happening all across the sector because of the technology we've brought and now have deployed all across this country as the nation's 5G leader.
That's incredibly inspiring. I'm going to ask you the last question. As an obviously inspirational, energetic, energized leader of a major company, what do you see happening in this region? What do you see happening today, and where do you see us going tomorrow? And what are your last words for this room as to how we can energize, innovate, and lead this region into that future?
Well, I was so inspired by Rachel's message around what we have to do and how we have to work together. I participate with other CEOs in the region in Challenge Seattle and with the former governor. We also are very focused on these things. And one of the things we need are policymakers that really understand the vital role of business in creating a vibrant economy that lifts everyone up. And not all policymakers understand that. There are plenty of policymakers that are so obsessed with dividing up the pie that they forget there needs to be a pie. And the role of business is to make sure there's a pie. And that means we have to invest and we have to innovate, and it has to happen here. And I see that happening in our region because we're so fortunate to have such great and far-reaching companies, large and small. But we need I think in this country, a centrism and a spirit of compromise and an openness to the role of business and a set of policies that encourage business to create the kind of economic opportunities that lift everyone up. And I think there's a lot of hope and promise around that, but the last few years have been a time of divisiveness, and we're going to have to bring leaders that are really open to all points of view and to compromise to bring this better future forward.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for the energy, for the enthusiasm, and thank you for being you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
To close today's program, we welcome back to the stage Rachel Smith.
Well, thank you so much, Mike and Pallavi. That was just incredible. It was a terrific conversation. We are so lucky to have leaders like you in our community. So thank you again. We're just thrilled. I also want to thank Joe, and I want to thank Dave. I want to thank Olga and Harry. That was just really inspiring to get to hear those stories. And again, it's something that gives us energy, which we just talked about to do our work. Pallavi, I also want to say that I am just so excited about the year ahead with you leading the chamber as our board chair. And I also want to thank Mary. We are really looking forward to working with her as our first vice chair. And a big thank you to our continuing vice chair, Jasmine Donovan, and again to Kerri for her leadership over the past year. I'm going to keep going with these thank yous. I want to thank again all of our sponsors who made this year's annual meeting possible. Our presenting sponsor, Kaiser Permanente. Our featured sponsor, yes, thank you. Our featured sponsors, Advanced Professionals Insurance and Benefit Solutions, Alaska Airlines, Meta, PNC Bank, Primera Blue Cross, and Puget Sound Energy. I also want to thank our event sponsors, Amazon, Bank of America, BizX, the Boeing Company, Business Health Trust, Davis Wright Tremaine, Edelman, GeekWire, Microsoft, QFC and Fred Meyer, Recology, Regents, Seneca Group, Southwest Airlines, Symetra, Vimley, and Virginia Mason Franciscan Health. And I also want to acknowledge our event sponsors, Delta Dental of Washington, Fury Group, Intellectual Ventures, Nucor Steel, Port Blakely, Port of Seattle, Seattle Children's, the University of Washington, UW Medicine, Vigor, the Washington State University, and Wright Runstad and Company. And thank you to the incredible staff at the Chamber. It is wonderful to have them here all today, so let's give them a round of applause.